If you feel your chest tighten just reading those words, then you're exactly where you need to be. The shocking truth about trading that nobody warns you about isn't found in a strategy. It isn't hidden in an indicator. And it certainly isn't waiting for you in the next course you're about to buy. What nobody warns you about is this: trading will show you every broken part of yourself, and it will do so without mercy. You came here for money. Everyone does. You saw the charts, the stories, the lifestyle, and you thought, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the way out. Maybe if you just learn the right pattern, the right setup, the right entry, everything will change. And in those first few weeks, it felt possible. You opened your first trade, watched the candles move, felt your heart race, and for a moment, you believed you were onto something real. Then the market took it back. And you didn't understand why. That's when the search began. You started watching videos, dozens of them. You filled your charts with indicators, lines, colors, trying to make sense of the chaos. Every new video promised clarity. Every new tool promised control. And every time you thought you were getting closer, the market reminded you that you weren't. Losses piled up. Not catastrophic at first, just enough to sting. Just enough to make you question whether you were cut out for this. And late at night, after another red day, a thought crept in. Maybe I'm just not smart enough for this. But here's what nobody tells you in those moments. Intelligence has nothing to do with it. The market doesn't care how smart you are. It doesn't care how many books you've read or how many hours you've studied. The market responds to one thing only: your behavior. And your behavior, whether you realize it or not, is shaped by something far deeper than logic. It's shaped by fear, by greed, by the need to be right, by the inability to sit still when everything inside you is screaming to act. Most traders fail not because they don't know enough. They fail because they know too much and do too little with it. They fail because they confuse information with understanding. They collect strategies like trophies, but never stop long enough to master even one. They jump from method to method, chart to chart, guru to guru, searching for the one missing piece that will finally make everything click. And the tragic part is, that piece was never missing. It was there all along. They just couldn't see it because they were too busy looking everywhere else. The shocking truth is this: trading is simple. Painfully, uncomfortably simple. But simple doesn't mean easy. And that's the part nobody warns you about. You don't need to understand macroeconomics. You don't need to predict central bank policy. You don't need a dozen indicators or a secret algorithm. You need one edge. One repeatable behavior in one specific context. That's it. But to find it, you have to stop running. You have to stop searching. You have to stop believing that more will save you. Imagine a trader named Daniel. He's been trading for 2 years. He's tried breakouts, reversals, trend following, scalping, swing trading. He's jumped from Forex to crypto to stocks and back again. Every month, he tells himself this is the month it all comes together. And every month, his account looks the same. Sometimes up, sometimes down, but mostly stuck. He doesn't blow up. He just doesn't grow. And that's the most dangerous place to be, because there's no urgency. No clear signal that something is deeply wrong. He's comfortable in his mediocrity, convinced that with just a little more time, a little more effort, things will change. But they won't. Because Daniel's problem isn't his strategy. It's his inability to commit to one. You see, the market rewards depth, not breadth. It rewards the trader who knows one instrument so well they can feel its rhythm in their bones. Who understands not just the chart, but the people behind it. The same groups of traders move the same assets every single day. They panic at the same levels. They get greedy at the same signals. They repeat the same mistakes in the same conditions. And if you focus long enough, you stop seeing price. You start seeing behavior. You start seeing fear and greed playing out in real time. And when you can see that, you don't need to predict. You just need to respond. But most traders never get there because they can't tolerate boredom. They need stimulation. They need novelty. They need to feel like they're doing something, even when doing nothing is the right choice. And that need, that constant itch for action, is what kills them. Not in one dramatic blow-up, but slowly, trade by trade, until one day they look at their account and realize they've been treading water for years. The market doesn't reward activity. It rewards patience. And patience isn't waiting for the perfect setup. Patience is watching 100 setups pass by and knowing which one is actually worth your risk. Patience is sitting in a trade that's slightly negative, resisting the urge to close it early. Because you know your stop hasn't been hit. Patience is accepting that most days you won't trade it at all. And on those days, you won't feel productive. You won't feel accomplished. You'll just feel bored. And that's exactly when you're doing it right. But nobody warns you about that. Nobody tells you that the closer you get to consistency, the less exciting trading becomes. They sell you the dream of financial freedom, of flexibility, of living on your terms. And all of that can be true. But what they don't show you is the years of repetition it takes to get there. The same chart, the same setup, the same decision-making process, day after day after day. No fanfare, no validation. Just you and your rules, alone in a room, doing something that to anyone else would look mind-numbingly dull. Think about Sarah. She trades one pair. Just one. She's been doing it for 3 years. Her friends think she's wasting her potential. They tell her she should diversify, explore other markets, learn new strategies. But Sarah knows something they don't. She knows that mastery doesn't come from variety. It comes from depth. Every session, she watches the same levels. She knows how price reacts when it touches them. She knows when a breakout is real and when it's a trap. She doesn't need 10 setups. She has one, and she executes it with precision, over and over, without hesitation, without second guessing. Her account grows slowly, steadily, quietly. And while her friends are still searching for the next big thing, Sarah is building wealth in the most boring way possible. That's the shocking truth. Elite trading is boring. It's repetitive. It's undramatic. And if you can't make peace with that, you'll never reach it. You'll stay stuck in the cycle of searching, hoping, trying, and ultimately failing, not because you're incapable, but because you couldn't surrender your need for excitement. Now let's talk about size. Position size is not just a number. It's psychological pressure, and most traders don't realize how much damage they're doing to themselves by trading too big too soon. You're new. You don't have data. You don't have proof that your edge works. You haven't even defined your edge yet, but you're risking money that took you weeks to earn on a trade you barely understand. Why? Because it feels like that's what traders do. Because you saw someone online turning a small account into a big one, and you want that too. Because you're impatient. Because you're afraid of being left behind. And so you size up. You tell yourself you'll be disciplined. You tell yourself you'll stick to the plan. But the moment the trade goes against you, everything changes. Your heart starts pounding. Your palms sweat. You stare at the screen, watching every tick, every candle, and suddenly, you're not executing a strategy anymore. You're fighting for survival. You move your stop because you can't afford to be wrong. You hold past your exit because you need the trade to come back. You add to a losing position because you're sure it's about to reverse. And by the time you finally close it, the damage is done. Not just to your account, but to your psychology. That one trade taught you the wrong lesson. It taught you that the market is unpredictable, that your strategy doesn't work, that you can't trust yourself. But the real lesson was simpler. You were trading too big. The trade wasn't the problem. Your size was. Here's what nobody warns you about. The learning phase is not the earning phase. You don't get to make serious money while you're still figuring things out. You don't get to trade like a professional before you've put in the work of a professional. And if you try, the market will punish you for it. Not because it's cruel, but because it's honest. It reflects your readiness back at you with ruthless accuracy. So trade small. So small that the outcome doesn't matter. So small that you can hold a trade through discomfort without panicking. So small that when you lose, it feels like the cost of a coffee, not the cost of your confidence. This is when you learn. This is when you build the muscle memory, the emotional resilience, the calm detachment that separates professionals from gamblers. And yes, it will take longer. Yes, you'll feel like you're moving too slowly. But slow is the only way that lasts. Now let's talk about the thing that sabotages more traders than bad strategy, bad timing, or bad luck combined. The thing that nobody warns you about, because it feels too obvious, too simple to matter. But it does. It matters more than anything. And it's this: you're watching your profit and loss in real time. Every tick up, you feel relief. Every tick down, you feel dread. You're not trading the setup anymore. You're trading your emotions. You're reacting to green and red, to numbers that change every second, to money that isn't even yours yet. And in that state, you make decisions that have nothing to do with your plan. You close winners early because you're afraid they'll turn into losers. You hold losers too long because you can't accept being wrong. You enter trades you shouldn't take because you're down for the day and you need to get it back. Every single one of these mistakes comes from the same source. You're watching P&L. Here's the rule that will change everything. During a trading session, do not look at your P&L. Not once. Not even a glance. If your platform lets you hide it, hide it. If it doesn't, discipline yourself to ignore it. I know how extreme this sounds. I know every part of you will resist. But try it. For 1 week, trade without looking at the numbers. Focus only on execution. Is the setup valid? Did I follow my rules? Has the market structure changed? If the answer is no, do nothing. Just sit there. Let the trade play out. Trust the process you built when your head was clear, not the impulse you feel when money is moving. When you stop watching P&L, something remarkable happens. The noise disappears. The emotional swings flatten. You stop overreacting to normal market movement. You stop interfering with trades that don't need interference. And for the first time, you see your strategy clearly. You see whether it actually works, or whether you've been sabotaging it all along. But even when you stop watching P&L, even when you trade the right size, even when you focus on one edge, there's still one enemy left. And it's the most dangerous one, because it lives inside you. It's the voice that says, just this once. Just this one trade. Just this one exception. You've had 3 losses in a row, and the voice says, one more trade will fix it. You've hit your daily loss limit, and the voice says, you can make it back in one good trade. You see a setup that's close to your edge but not quite there, and the voice says, it's close enough. That voice has destroyed more accounts than bad strategy ever will. Because every time you listen to it, you're not just breaking a rule. You're teaching yourself that rules don't matter. You're reinforcing the idea that discipline is optional, that you can negotiate with yourself in the moment, that exceptions are fine as long as you have a good reason. And once that lesson is learned, it's almost impossible to unlearn. Rules exist not to make you rigid. They exist to protect you from yourself at your weakest moments. When you're tired, when you're emotional, when you're desperate. These are the moments when you need rules the most, because these are the moments when your judgment is the worst. And if you don't follow rules when it's hard, then you don't really have rules. You just have suggestions. Let me tell you about Marcus. He's been trading for 5 years. He knows his strategy. He knows his edge. He's had profitable months, even profitable quarters, but he can't seem to break through. And the reason is simple. Every time he builds momentum, he breaks his own rules. He'll have a great week, then give it all back in one session because he kept trading after hitting his daily limit. He'll execute perfectly for days, then blow up because he saw a setup that wasn't really there but convinced himself it was close enough. He's not failing because he doesn't know what to do. He's failing because he won't do it. And the worst part is, Marcus knows this. He sees it every time he reviews his journal. He sees the pattern. He promises himself he'll stop. And for a while he does. But then the moment comes again. The voice appears again, and he listens. Because in that moment, the need to act feels stronger than the need to protect himself. And that's the shocking truth about trading that nobody warns you about. Your biggest enemy isn't the market, it's you. And until you learn to protect yourself from yourself, nothing else matters. Consistency isn't built through brilliance. It's built through boring repetition. It's the trader who does the same right thing every single day, even when they don't feel like it. Even when the market is slow. Even when they haven't made money in a week. Even when doubt creeps in and whispers that maybe this isn't working. Consistency is showing up, following the plan, and trusting that the results will come. Not because you're special, but because you refuse to break. And here's where it gets hard. Really hard. You reach a point where you're no longer ignorant. You understand your setup. You've refined your process. You're not making the rookie mistakes anymore. You're managing risk properly. You're not blowing up accounts. But you're also not making real progress. You're stuck in neutral. Not bad enough to quit, but not good enough to thrive. And this is the most dangerous place in trading. Because when you're losing, the market forces you to change. When you're clueless, the path forward is obvious. But when you're okay, everything blurs. You're comfortable enough to stay, but not uncomfortable enough to grow. Most traders spend years in this zone. They trade. They hope. They tell themselves that one day it'll all click. But it won't. Not unless they're willing to look at the uncomfortable truth. That being okay is a choice. That staying average is a form of self-protection. Because if you never fully commit, if you never go all in on your process, then you never have to face the possibility that you might fail. And so you trade just enough to survive, but never enough to break through. The market doesn't care about your comfort. It doesn't care that you're trying. It doesn't care that you've been at this for years. It only cares about one thing: did you execute correctly? And if the answer is no, if you keep breaking rules, if you keep making exceptions, if you keep letting emotion dictate your actions, then the market will keep taking from you. Not because it's punishing you, but because that's what markets do. They transfer money from the undisciplined to the disciplined, from the reactive to the patient, from those who can't sit still to those who can. You want to know the real secret? There is no secret. There's no hidden strategy, no special indicator, no magic setup. The only thing separating you from where you want to be is your willingness to do the boring work, to trade the same setup every day without complaint, to follow the same rules every session without exception, to accept losses without revenge, to sit out when there's nothing to do, to exist in the silence between trades without needing validation, without needing excitement, without needing proof that you're progressing. Because progress in trading doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with fanfare. It doesn't feel like a breakthrough. It feels like another Tuesday. Another session where you didn't break rules. Another trade where you followed your plan even though every cell in your body wanted to interfere. Another day where you shut down on time, walked away, and trusted that the process would reward you eventually. And here's the shocking truth that nobody warns you about. Eventually might take years. Not months, not quarters. Years. Years of doing the same thing, seeing slow progress, doubting yourself, wondering if you're wasting your time, watching others seem to succeed faster, feeling the weight of every loss, every missed opportunity, every moment of boredom. And through all of that, you have to keep going. Not because you're certain it'll work out, but because you've decided that quitting would hurt more than continuing. Trading at its core is not about outsmarting the market. It's about outlasting yourself. It's about surviving your own impatience, your own greed, your own fear long enough to become the kind of person who doesn't need to act on those impulses anymore. And when you finally reach that point, when you can sit in front of a screen and feel absolutely nothing as price moves, when you can take a loss and go about your day without a second thought, when you can let a winner run without fear, that's when trading stops being a battle. That's when it becomes what it was always meant to be. A reflection of who you've become. Nobody warns you about this because it's not marketable. It doesn't sell courses. It doesn't get clicks. It's not inspiring. It's just the truth. A truth that most traders will never accept because it asks too much. It asks you to be honest. It asks you to be patient. It asks you to be disciplined when no one is watching. It asks you to do the right thing even when it doesn't feel good. And most people, no matter how badly they want success, are not willing to pay that price. But you're still here. You're still reading. which means part of you knows this is real. Part of you recognizes the truth in these words, even if it's uncomfortable. And that part of you, the part that's tired of lying to yourself, tired of making excuses, tired of staying stuck. That's the part you need to listen to. Not the voice that says just one more trade. Not the voice that says this time is different. But the quiet voice underneath all the noise that says, maybe it's time to stop searching and start building. Because the shocking truth about trading that nobody warns you about is that it was never about the market. It was always about you. And the day you accept that, the day you stop blaming conditions, stop blaming your strategy, stop blaming luck, and start taking full responsibility for every result you get, that's the day everything changes. Not because the market suddenly becomes easier, but because you finally stop making it harder than it needs to be,